Well, we just got some awesome news today. There's a new live stream series that ZOS is doing. Looks like a monthly series where they get the devs together and they just talk about what they're working on. And so we got a little bit of info about the night market. Finn did say that they are going to be nerfing the enemies in there a little bit, making it a little bit easier. I was a little disappointed to hear that. I know some people are happy to hear that. I thought it was in a good spot. Kind of made you want to go in with the group. It's still probably going to be in that range, but they did want to make it a little bit easier. They talked about a lot of the stuff with the DK that we already knew was coming. Stuff that coming in update 49. But then they moved over and started talking about some stuff coming in update 50, which is brand new info for everybody. So that's what I want to cover today. They are giving us class masteries within our skill lines for essentially keeping all of our base class lines. So going pure class. So if in this case with the sorcerer, if I have dark magic, if I have daedric summoning, and I have storm calling, all three, then I have these passive abilities here that I can choose from. It's something that excuse me, sorry. This is something that players have been asking for since subclassing came out. Some system like this to incentivize pure classing. They said at the start, or at least when it hits PTS, the initial idea is that you will be able to choose 2 passives out of the 5 options. So every class will have 5 passives to pick from if you're that base class and have all 3 lines in that class. But you can only apply 2. They don't cost skill points. They don't cost anything. You just essentially pick the 2 out of the 5 that you want. That's just their starting point. You know, who knows? It could end up where you pick 3 out of 5. One thing that maybe could be if you have 2 out of your 3 lines, you can pick 1 passive instead of 2. We don't know. Like this, their starting point though is you pick 2 if you have your full base class. So obviously feedback will be needed once this hits the PTS for update 50. Go through and actually get to see all of these. Right now we just have a preview, but you know, once update 50 hits, we'll see each of these individually and be able to have a better idea of what it looks like as a whole. But right now we'll have a preview. We'll go through each of the classes and the passive that was shown for each of those classes and just give a little feedback on it. Starting off with the sorcerer, the one they showed here was Implosion. Looks really cool. This is very similar to an old passive they had in their kit. Not exactly the same, but similar kind of concept. When you deal damage, you have a 1% chance for every 1% missing health the target has to deal 24/64 shock damage up to once per attack. So essentially, as the opponent's health gets lower and lower and lower, the chance for this to trigger gets higher and higher and higher, up until the point where it's just going to be like going off like crazy when against a low health target. So really cool concept. We don't know what kind of stats they had on their characters to show these tooltips, so we can't really read too much into like 24/64 shock damage. Like, what does that mean? Like, you know, if he had 10,000 weapon and spell damage here, that maybe that's a really low number. But like, if he had 1,000, maybe that's a really high number, right? We have no idea. So, more just like the concepts that we're looking at today. But this is cool. Like having new extra oomph in your kit for sticking with your 3 base classes is only going to improve the game. So I'm here for it. But again, this is all we got to see for the sorcerer for now. For the Nightblade upgrades, this upgrades rank 2 of Hemorrhage to have a chance to generate 1 ultimate. This effect can occur once every second, and the chance is based off your critical. So it says weapon critical, I guess because minor savagery improves your weapon critical. It's kind of weird. It's outdated that they're even using minor savagery anymore by itself in weapon critical. That's another rant for another video, but essentially this passive now triggers minor savagery for your group. With this additional Nightblade class mastery, it will also have a chance to generate ultimate. And I guess like if you had 100% crit chance, it would be 100% chance to trigger the ultimate. 50% crit chance, it would be a 50% chance. So essentially once a second at 50% crit chance would be an average of like one ultimate every 2 seconds if you're constantly dealing crit damage. So it's all right. I don't see this one like being enough to like make people really go like, oh, I want to play a base Nightblade, the same way as like having a cool passive like this. But this is just one of the 5. So, you know, the other ones could be a lot cooler and maybe push that. And this is an early look too. Maybe this gets adjusted more. So we shall see. And then we have the Dragonite class mastery. This one looked really cool. When your Dragonite damage over time effects end on a target, you apply recursive flame to them for 12 seconds. This effect stacks up to 12 times, dealing 5901 flame damage over the duration and increases by 25% per stack. Again, the 5901 flame damage, no idea if that's a lot or if that's not a lot, because we don't know the stats of the character that was looking at this. But the idea for it is really cool. So like as your dots are running out, they trigger this. And so like as your dots keep running out, this triggers higher and higher and higher and higher. Stacks up to what, 300% increased damage when it's full. And I assume it just keeps refreshing as long as you still have dots expiring. So it kind of fits in with the DK and their new way of playing where you're just kind of building over time and doing more and more damage as time goes on. Looks really good. It's gonna, I mean, pure DK is already pretty decent. It's not as good as subclass with the coming patch and all the changes, but it's a lot closer than any of the other classes are. So I have hope for all of those other classes and their reworks, but with this one specifically, like this is probably going to make pure DK, I mean, it's at least going to make it closer to competitive with subclass, but we'll see where it ends up. For the Warden class mastery, we saw Nature's Bounty, upgrades rank 2 of Nature's Gift, to also restore 500 magicka or stamina to your ally, whichever resource pool is lower. So this one, kind of like the Nightblade one, feels a little less like, oh, I need that one. I'm going to stay, you know, as a warden to get that. Probably for PvP, if you're, you know, in a group, you're in group play there, you're a base warden. Could be kind of nice to give that to your group as well. But I don't know. It's not as exciting as the others, but this is just one of the 5, you know, there's some cool names here. Hypothermia, Glacial Cold. So like maybe some cool frost damage stuff in here as well. We'll have to wait and see what all they're getting. All right, then we have Pound of Flesh. This is the Necromancer one. When you take damage, you have a 1% chance to heal 2266 health and restore 5% of your missing stamina up to once per second. This chance increases by 1% for every missing health percent you have, and the healing's based off your max health. So essentially kind of works like the Sork one, the Implosion passive here, where your enemy's health goes down, your chance goes up. Well, this one instead is, as your health goes down, your chance to proc the heal on yourself goes up. So when you're at 50% health, this has a 50% chance to trigger the heal. If you're at 25% health, it has a 75% chance to trigger. Pretty interesting concept. Again, we have no idea what that 2k health is. Like, is this a base character with 16k health that's seeing this tooltip? Is this a character with 40k health seeing a 2k tooltip? That makes a big difference, right? So how much the tooltip is, it says it's based off your max health, but we don't really know at this time. Cool concept though. I think it's pretty interesting. Definitely would help a lot with Necro survival, like for like tanky type characters. Yeah, interesting concept there for sure. Then we have the Arcanist one. I thought this one was really a really interesting concept too. Self-perpetuated fate upgrades rank 2 of implacable outcome to generate maximum crux up to once every 15 seconds. So essentially what this passive does is when you consume crux, gain 4 ultimate, can occur once every 8 seconds. So what this does is when you spend your crux, you will once every 15 seconds immediately get all of your crux back again. So if you're on a beam build and you beam, you spend all your crux, as soon as you hit that beam, your crux is full again. So as soon as your beam is done, you're ready to do it again. Or if you're using the Tentacular Dreadmorph, you spend all your crux with that, you could cast it again. Or you could even have a scenario where maybe you use Tentacular Dread with beam. You hit him with the Dreadmorph at full crux, and then you have your full crux still for the beam right afterwards. Like, pretty interesting concept. It's only once every 15 seconds, so you can't just like continually do this. But that's enough to where that is like a build defining feature. So it's pretty cool. Is, you know, this alone, looking at it from a damage dealer perspective, you know, this doesn't seem, it seems cool. I love the way that this like kind of works in and changes the playstyle. As a damage dealer though, taking Soldier of Apocrypha and Curative Rune Forms over like 2 subclassing options, like looking at this as like something enticing enough to make me stay with my full class kit, I don't really see it. But again, we don't know what the other options are. So maybe this combined with one of these other ones could be something really cool. Like for PvP as well, you know, having your 3 crux burst twice in a row instead of having to build it again could be really cool. So I love the passive here. I think this is one of the coolest ones they're introducing. Really changes up gameplay by taking this. We'll have to see if it's enough to warrant actually sticking with pure class. All right, and then finally we have the Templar. This one is hold the line while Sacred Ground is active. You gain a damage shield for 6 seconds. This is from the Restoring Light line. It's the only way you can get Sacred Ground. So using certain abilities in there gives you this. You gain a damage shield for 6 seconds, up to once every 6 seconds. The shield absorbs up to 4212 damage, provides 300 health, magicka, and stamina recovery while active. If the shield breaks, you gain 10 ultimate. If it's constantly breaking, 10 ult every 6 seconds is pretty great for support type role. It's constant damage shields on you to help shrug off. If your damage shield's not breaking, you get a bunch of sustain as well. So pretty interesting. Again, kind of the same thing as with the Arcanist here. Doesn't really seem like this is going to be enough to tempt me into going pure Templar. It's a nice thing to have. Like it's like if you are a pure Templar, yeah, it's a cool benefit. But you know, I'm hoping these end up in a place where when I pick 2 of these together, they're strong enough to where it's like, okay, this bumps my class up to somewhere at least close to what subclassing can do, which is going to require these to be very strong if you can only take 2. So that's why I was saying earlier, maybe it ends up where taking 3 is a better solution, like instead of 2. Or maybe you can take 3 if you're full class, or only take 1 if you have 2 lines of your class, or something like that. But yeah, we'll see where it ends up. I think it's a great introduction to the game. Like I think, hello Abby. I think having this system in place is going to be so good for the game. It's going to need some feedback, which we can give when update 50 hits. Update 50 should be probably, I'm guessing, a couple months. It'll hit the PTS somewhere in there. So once that happens, we can give feedback on the specifics of each of the passives. Also, one thing, it's probably going to be a lot better on the reworked classes than the ones that have yet to be reworked. Because like DK, for example, they just got reworked. So they're a lot closer to the subclassing pack than the other base classes. So having a couple of these on the DK might be enough to bridge that gap. Whereas like having a couple on, you know, a Templar base class or Nightblade or whatever, you know, another base class that hasn't been worked on yet, probably is not enough to bridge that gap unless these are really cranked up. So yeah, we'll see. Well, obviously keep tracking it as time goes on and keep following the updates and give feedback on it as we know more. But just wanted to get you guys an early look at this. I think it's super exciting. This is something players have been asking for since subclassing hit, some way to buff up pure classes, and I think it's way more interesting than a lot of the ways that were suggested. You know, having choice here, like you can't just take all the passives, having like some powerful things that you can pick to really define your build, I think is an awesome way to do this, and excited to see what is going to be in here. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.